Sorry, I'm confused by this.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
My name is Thomas, and this is Owen Farrell's favorite number one supporter, Adam. And this is episode 7 of the Podcastaways.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about the D4 game, the Rugby World Cup games from last weekend, as well as this coming weekend, and then finalizing the dates for the Guinness Tour of Columbus. So
I'm so excited.
a lot on the table this week. So why are you wearing that?
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been supporting England the whole way through. Ireland. Like every game. Owen Farrell is my favourite player.
I mean, obviously, and like my number one team since the start has been.
Why are you wearing that?
It's the greatest jerseys of all time. Told you the hoops.
Oh
Hoops
my
look
god.
best.
They came second. You let Japan
Can't
beat
wait to
them.
see you in the final.
Oh, we need a buffer. We need
We
need like a no man's land.
no man's land
person
buffer
here.
zone, and I'm
Okay.
curtain.
I'm gonna get a buffer.
A buffer.
Here's our buffer. Hey Larry.
A buffer. A proper buffer.
We need to do another intro now. Episode 37 of the podcast. I'm Adam. That's Thomas. I'm Larry.
Alrighty, so I guess the D4 game this weekend.
Yes.
So last weekend, the D4 team traveled up to Pittsburgh and played the Forge there, and I think I didn't see the final score, but it was a loss, I believe. Correct?
I think it was 42-12 or something,
Okay.
something like that. I don't know. It was a good couple of tries.
That's good.
But yeah.
Yeah, it was a far game out there, and it was really terrible weather, and something we've been developing is this D4 side. So having them travel and make those 3-hour-long trips is really impressive, and we're very proud of them.
Like a 10 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah.
It was like a 5 a.m. meet.
To Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ideal. Wasn't an ideal situation.
There was some very big hits now.
There were.
Yeah,
some-
I don't know if I'm going to put the video of Ray getting smashed, but I probably want to.
Well, you can see him doing a front flip almost in one of the videos.
I don't have that video.
There's also the video of someone kicking it, which I think was also Ray and Dr. Chris yelling something out there.
Why
too.
are you doing that?
Pretty funny. So I think we got to try to find that somewhere.
Yeah. Or positivity all the way through, boys. Well done.
But even with that, they're moving forward, and they're actually hosting a game this Saturday, so tomorrow, against Columbus, Indiana.
It's all the time. Today.
Sorry, my bad. My bad. So how do you guys feel about that game? How do you guys think it's going to go?
Against Columbus, Indiana.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've heard that if we have a solid group of D4 guys, we should do well in that game. I don't know. This season's been very difficult to call, though. We
Mhm.
have lost games where we should have been competitive. We've also been out and out the better team and lost.
Yeah.
And then we've also had instances where they've gone, oh, this team's going to be tough to beat, and we've narrowly lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been stop-start. I don't know much about Columbus, Indiana, but I guarantee one team called Columbus will win.
Yeah. Last time we played Columbus, Indiana, we went up there and it was a win. Comfortable. It was also like 90 degrees when we went.
Oh, that'll be the opposite
So it's like
tomorrow.
the dead of heat. So this is like going to be opposite. So maybe they'll be in a little bit more of their element.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like with the D4 people who came out practice last time, will be yesterday, today, and the D4 people who are going to be coming who weren't there, I think they'll be able to pull it out.
Yeah, and
So
I think
it's all to be seen.
like Ollie, Sam, everyone, a few people said like the D3 guys will come up and support, and I
Mhm.
think that definitely does add to it because like the last game the D4 guys had, and we had like the cookout, and you did the grill.
There's
That was
like 40 or
definitely-
50 people on the sideline.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Also, there will be another game on our second field, which is probably going to attract some people. Valley are playing. I don't know who they're playing. For a D2 playoffs game.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to have more people on our side cheering us on than they have. But a good game, good day of rugby.
I agree.
I think someone said they're playing Fort Wayne. Don't quote me.
Oh no,
Yeah, they're
you're
play-
true. You're
they're
true.
playing Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a playoff game quite yet. I think they play every single team twice, and then they play the playoffs.
got
Oh,
their
their season's
yeah,
longer? Oh.
they got their season extended. Same with when the Squirrels got their season extended, they got their season extended.
I think if one more team were to drop out of our division, we'd play every
everyone
team
twice.
once.
That's cool.
I wouldn't mind it very much. I think
Yeah.
more
Anything
games.
you can do to get an extra week, an extra 2 weeks of rugby is fun. Yeah, as long as the weather holds out, it doesn't get. This week, training's been pretty miserable this week.
Oh, it's pretty cold.
Rain,
Cold.
geese poop.
Oh my god.
Disgusting.
Yeah. If you would like to sponsor the Castaways to clean up Rhodes Park, or just petition the city of Columbus to come
Hit my number.
Yeah, we'll put his phone number. I'll put Larry's phone number in there.
The link.
Just Larry's
Link to Larry's
personal-
All
Instagram
hours.
account.
All hours.
DM Larry.
Spam Larry with your requests.
Whisper sweet nothings in my ear.
Audio messages only.
Yeah.
Only audio messages or videos.
If you don't read me a bedtime story, I will be calling the police.
That'd be pretty great, actually.
Okay, so propaganda is a new segment where one of the props will tell us something or teach us something or show us something. This week it's Bert. He told us he could do a cartwheel. We did not believe him. Enjoy.
Oh, he's. Oh shit! Oh shit!
His socks have grip on the top.
Oh, he can do a cartwheel!
Alrighty, so what about last weekend's World Cup games?
Well, clearly I was very pleased with the result in the England-Fiji game. No, but to be fair, the first game, Argentina-Wales, you didn't think Argentina would win.
Mm-mm.
I was very confident. Larry had quite a few players in his fantasy team from Argentina, so I think he was pretty confident as well.
I was.
But the game was very good. It wasn't as close as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But Argentina just played their style of rugby, played very well. I think the Welsh team there was an instance where I think Rio Dyer ran through, hit a great line coming off the left wing, looked to his left, didn't see a pass, got tackled, and whatever happened. And if he'd have looked right, I think the replacement scrum half was there, and Wales would have scored, and it might have been a different result, maybe not. But I was confident that Argentina would win that. I think Argentina have been a very good team, obviously, apart from losing to England in the first game. But Argentina, I have rated them this World Cup. I think they've got some very quick players. They've also got some very smart and some very sneaky players. Julio Montoya is.
I think that for me, the reason I thought Wales was going to win was because they just come across as more organized and they play that Northern Hemisphere brand of rugby that's just defense first, and then we can kick the ball and kind of push them back that way. And I think Argentina, they were more willing to take advantage of the opportunities that were provided to them, like Nico Sanchez's try where he stole a pass, mid-pass, like things like that, which we'll talk about with the South Africa-France game. They took the opportunities that came to them and they scored. That's the big difference between the two teams. And I think that Wales didn't take advantage. I mean, obviously that's how games are won, is by scoring tries, but I think at the end of the day, Argentina wanted it more.
Yeah, I don't think Wales was expecting Argentina to come out like that at all. I think they're probably expecting more, okay, we're probably going to have more possession and most of the possession. But the thing is, when you have more possession, that's when you get complacent. And then things happen like the intercepted pass for a try or him not looking for the pass. You just find yourself in those situations where you're on cruise control when you should be in manual or something like that. So
yeah, I think there was especially Rio Dyer. Who's the other Louis Rees-Zammit?
He almost had a try, then someone
try saving tackle.
tackle.
Well, that was it. That was that instance. Like Rio Dyer looked to his left, saw him, it went past out to Rio, and then from nowhere that tackle came in. But they were in on the right side. But I think other than Dan Bigger, obviously is now retired, but there was a lot of younger players in that Welsh team, which I think needs more. They need more games to progress. There are obviously some very good players, but I think a little bit more experience in World Cups.
I also don't think that the Welsh rugby unions have managed their players well. They have a lot of weird contractual rules where you have to play a certain number of caps before you can go overseas, and there's a lot of young players that are actively losing. Like I think Joe Hawkins, who plays for Exeter now, he's one of the best inside centers in the world. He's only 22. move from Wales to play there because he's going to make more money. He's not available for selection, and I think he's a big guy, like 6'2", 6'3". I have another guy named Mason Grady that's like a 6'5", 13, and he's trying to move overseas too to play to earn more money. So they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot with that one. But
yeah, I mean, I had not a disagreement, but I had a conversation with Ollie about the players leaving New Zealand to go and do that, and then not being eligible for New Zealand. Picking up Japan, going into like South Africa, coming and playing in France, specifically we were talking about like Sonny Bill Williams. But it's because there's money there, and like you at a certain point in your career, you have to decide whether you want to be a Johnny Sexton, a Dan Bigger, a Jason Leonard. You want to score, you want to have a ton of caps for your country, and that's more important, or you're in it because
you want to retire.
One game, one tackle can end your career.
Yeah.
And then if it's about the quality of life, either while you're playing or post your career, you need financial. I mean,
you want to be secure.
Yeah, there's a lot of rugby players.
And that comes down to the unions again. The Irish union is super centralized, so all of those players are on centralized contracts. They're making good money while they're away too for the national team. But well, speaking of Ireland, that's the next game that happened that day, which I know is a rough one because I know a lot of us wanted Ireland to win that one.
I think there's one person in our team that wanted New Zealand to win, and everyone else wanted Ireland to win.
Yeah, Ollie.
But I mean, if you take the supporters hat off and you're an impartial, what a game of rugby!
It was, the last 10 minutes of that game was probably the best. But I haven't even seen that much. I've only been in the rugby world for 3 years now. But that was by far like the best like sporting event that I watched for 10 minutes where I was just locked in.
Yeah.
And I was just like watching Ireland just make that final push or attempt to make that final push to win the game. And
it was like something, what was it, like 38, 37 phases or something ridiculous?
Yeah. For me, it came down to, which I'll talk about when I get to the France-South Africa game, is the benches and how they were used. Ireland didn't clear the whole bench out. They never subbed Sexton off. They didn't take certain players off, which I get that Sexton is about out not their best fly half. But there's something to be said about putting a 23-year-old fly half in with 20 minutes to go. To me, that would have been a huge difference breaker, and that's the same reason I felt about France and New Zealand. But I think that the bench was the main
France-South Africa.
France-South Africa, yeah. I think the bench was the biggest difference maker in those games, But speaking of what we were talking about earlier, I mean, you've got a lot of French, New Zealand players that are leaving. And you do have a good number of retiring players from Ireland, but the difference is that Ireland has a lot of youth that's coming up through that's already playing pro rugby in Ireland that play for those different provinces. And is the next lock who comes through going to be the equivalent of, Ty Byrne? Probably not, but they're going to get there in a couple of years. And I think by the next World Cup cycle, Ireland will be really, really strong again.
Yeah, I think me and you had this conversation Sunday morning, or maybe Monday morning, when I was like, no, that's it. Ireland are just now it's going to be a while before Ireland complete. And then you pointed out how young some of the players are, because I think I'm so focused in on Johnny Sexton's old retiring, Peter O'Mahony, Colin Murray, the big names in that team.
Ty Furlong's gone.
Yeah. But then I forget about
Dan Sheehan's only 23 or 24. Andrew Porter's like 26.
Yeah.
James Ryan's not that old. I think he's 28. He's got another World Cup in him.
Van der Flyer's not even that old.
Van der Flyer will he may not make it to the next World Cup as a starter, but he'll definitely be there, I would assume.
But like
Kalen Doris, the 8-man, is like 23 years old. They've got
even Jameson Gibson Park isn't as old as you think he is. Bundy Aki is not as old as you think he is.
And they look old.
They look older.
They are.
Gary Ringrose is only 28, so he's got another World Cup cycle in him, I think.
If he remains injury free, I think
Hugo Keenan's only 26 or 27, so he's got another World Cup cycle, yeah.
Okay.
James Lowe and Mac Hansen, I don't know if they'll make it just because wingers are so volatile in the professional scene. Like, their careers will only last 2 or 3 years and they're gone.
Which is, I think, what shot Ireland in the foot in the tournament. Mm-hmm. I think that comparing those two wings to all the other teams in their wings, those two could not. I don't think they were utilized, or you couldn't really utilize them like Will Jordan, or you couldn't utilize them as some of the other wings that
Colby
I was watching, even on the Wales winger, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just they didn't have the pace to where they were dangerous enough, and I don't think teams respected them
Yeah.
because of that.
I know they use Mac Hansen a lot as like a third distributor as well. They put him in, and almost often he doesn't even have his line breaks on the side of the field. More than that, it's usually holes through the center, or they use him as another distributor. James Lowe, I mean, he's to me they just use him on defense for kicking the ball away. That's basically it. He doesn't really ever provide that much of an attack, in my opinion.
I think their wide attack was get it to Bundy and see what he can do.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think
that's a man.
yeah. He's been up until probably this weekend, he has been the player of the World Cup.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think, in terms of Pont, I hate to say it, obviously he missed games, but when he has been on the field, he's been outstanding.
But you can't beat scoring having like a hat trick in every game and playing for,
Yeah.
But New Zealand now play later this afternoon against Argentina, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they've obviously made it through. I think that they had a very, very good game. I thought that there was a lot of not necessarily writing them off, but like all the hype centered around Ireland.
Everyone thought Ireland would win.
And they had some players that maybe haven't been at their best play at their best, like Sam Kane. I don't know if you've seen that video where he's coming through like the sheds and he's just like
locked in,
like this locked in pissed off.
I can't remember. I think it was Ione or someone. What he said to Johnny Sexton, and I was like, that's a little bit harsh, but it's all in the game. It's part of the game.
I think.
And he's like, oh, don't miss the flight home tomorrow or something. Like before the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw. Speaking of that, I saw Razzie Erasmus made some comment like, "Yeah, England and France and Ireland will make it to the finals. They just got to buy their plane tickets or something like that." I was like, "That's so dirty."
Yeah.
I love it.
He's great though.
You gotta have that in sports. But going back to the New Zealand Ireland game, I think Richie Mwanga said it best. Like because he just had an interview and he was like, everyone was backing the number one team in the world, and going into it, they knew it was the number one team. We just had to be the number one team in the world for 80 minutes.
Yes, Richard.
That's what it comes to.
Mm-hmm. So, and then England versus Fiji. I thought that was actually
closer game than people were expecting.
I thought it was going to be closer. I think is what I had said in the last video. I'm very sad to see Fiji go because they're very fun to watch. I think of all of the England performances so far this tournament, that was actually their best because they were able to have a team come back and almost take the lead again and maintain control, maintain their heads, and end up pulling away again, which I thought was very impressive. So I don't think that they're the number one team, but they had a good game.
Yeah, I was just trying to look at that.
I do have a bone to pick with one of the Fijian players. So
who's that?
Semi Radradra.
Yeah.
I had him in the previous week.
He was terrible.
He did not do anything.
He didn't get played, I don't think.
No, he didn't. And I wanted to start him in fantasy, in the fantasy league that we have. So I'm like, okay, but then I'm like, you know what? He only got 2 points last night. It's England. He's not going to get them. So I switched out with another person on the Fijian team. This guy gets 2 points. He got like 57 points. And I'm like, there's no. Yeah. But yeah, if you're watching this, you're dead to me.
He's his favorite player.
He is one of our 15 subscribers.
Yeah, you're dead.
Your beard is actually terrible.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Wow. And if you are watching this, I actually love you. And if you want to send me anything autographed, I'll take it.
We're looking for Nike sponsorships.
But until then, you're dead to me.
But
okay.
You have any comments for that game, Adam?
Oh, Marcus Smith's face was ruined.
He's not even playing tomorrow.
He got battered. Owen Farrell. Yeah, he's not my favorite player. I'll be honest.
He was man of the match.
I know, but he did marshal the game very well. I think England made some very big changes. Not having George Ford starting, playing, not having Freddie Stewart, which we talked about last week. Like that's ridiculous. Like he's been great. But I think they knew what they were going into. They knew who they were going up against, and they planned a game accordingly.
Yeah.
Exactly the same with the game after that, the South Africa game. Like, I think was the Rugby Pod or one of the other podcasts that we listened to was talking about how Razzie builds his team, and he does it like on a. I'll get this. The way I explain it will be wrong, but it's something like the amount of time between like match. I don't know, like when you're doing something in the match that's important. So like if you're stealing a breakdown or making a break or doing a big tackle or saving a try, the amount of time between those, so how often you do those, he looks at the instances between them, and then some players have bigger gaps, and then some players have smaller gaps, and those smaller gaps, so you have more of an impact on the game, and that's how he builds his team. Which, for someone who doesn't coach or pick a team, that's really interesting because you just look at its statistics, its numbers, not necessarily looking at this player is good. I mean, there's some amazing players on that team, but like some people that South Africa, it'd be interesting to look at their starting lineup at every game this World Cup because I don't know if there's been that much consistency. And I think one thing that some teams struggle with, even us, is inconsistency with who's those first 15 on the field, because you don't know what that person outside you is going to do. Sorry, cool.
I think that game, at the end of the day, South Africa wanted it more. I think a lot of the French players are trying to call it the referee, which the referee was not perfect, but no referee is. I think at the end of the day, South Africa just happened to have wanted it more that day. I think my big point of analysis from that game is that, well, I guess I have 2 points. My first point is that, like we talked about the Irish team, the French team is really young. The South African team is the oldest team in the tournament, with their average age being closer to 33 or 34.
Nothing wrong with being over 33 or 34.
I agree. And then the French team was a lot younger, and so you got players like Antoine Dupont, who's only like 25 or 26. You've got Peter Mavaka, who's only 27, 28. You've got a lot of, Jalabert, Intimac that are really young.
Well, Intimac's over in. Intimac's like big, got injured in warm-ups and stuff. And that's disappointing. I really wanted him to play.
Yeah,
but obviously.
I think if he plays in that game versus South Africa, France take it.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Oh, Intimac, you think he would have been that bigger?
Mm-hmm.
I think, but I was going to disagree with you. But the difference was 2 points or a point. Was it 1 point? 29-28. But Cheslin Colby's charge down is the difference of the game.
He's goated.
So that was what I was getting at earlier, by the way, about taking the opportunities. So if you look at the South African team, they would kick the ball. They would have whoever the fly half is, so Manny Libak or Libak or Andre Pollard, and he would kick it a big bomb up. But rather than having a million, just the one winger chase it, they put like 2 or 3 locks and a forward out there to jump at it, and then also let the winger run at it. And so there was a couple times where like Peter Steph Dutoy or whoever's playing lock for them at that point would tip the ball back, and then you saw Colby got one and ran it in from 50 meters out. And you saw Kurt Learns also had basically the same thing happen, and the French players didn't really know how to handle it. So he played his team according to the strategy fit the game as well.
I think Faf. A lot of people will give credit to Faf for getting that last second strip.
Yeah,
to steal the game. I mean, it was just pure like moment of, I think, genius from him. Just to, like, be able to get in there and like watching the highlights, it seems like it was in slow mo, and it's like, oh, you have time to do that.
It's the
like,
complete opposite of the end of the New Zealand Ireland game. New Zealand were just weathering the storm, waiting for Ireland to make a mistake. South Africa went and took the ball.
Yeah.
No. New Zealand, same white poach.
37 phases.
Yeah.
What I mean is like they were weathering the storm. They were taking it. They weren't giving any meters back.
South Africa,
but South Africa, it was only like 5 or 6 phases.
It's a difference in mentality. New Zealand just sitting back, being patient. That I think if that is the final, New Zealand and South Africa, I think that's going to be the main difference. Is New Zealand's just going to wait, and South Africa's just going to take it to them.
I mean, some of the best World Cup games ever aren't usually in the finals. The finals, other than before your time, but like England, Australia in 2003,
I've seen that game.
Was incredible.
Last 3 minutes.
Usually the finals, like the last final, England versus South Africa, wasn't a great game. All the semi-finals were way better. I do think the 4 teams in it, there is only 2 that can win. I don't think England can win. I don't think Argentina can win. I think it's either South Africa or New Zealand. And that will be a very interesting final. Because I don't know if they've played in the World Cup final since 1995.
I'm not sure on that.
I think they haven't been in this final against each other since 1995, and that was like Lomu, and then
Because it was
Matt Damon was there.
and New Zealand,
In that film.
Australia was
Invincible.
2015.
Invictus, I think.
2011 was New Zealand and France.
was New Zealand, France.
2007 was England and South Africa. So that they haven't played each other since.
Who was 99?
I think did
99.
Australia win it?
99 was Australia, New Zealand.
I was a year old.
Okay.
I wasn't alive.
I was 11.
Or 99, I was alive, probably.
One thing I did forget to do last week, which we should do now, is tell people who owes who beers for the fantasy.
Yeah,
And then we'll talk about the Guinness thing and we'll wrap it
Oh
up.
yeah, we'll do that. So hang on, I'll go back around because I missed doing round 4. So round 4, MC, who you don't watch this, you don't care. You scored a grand total of 87 points in that round. And Bert scored 1,173.
Bert's on a comeback,
Bert.
man.
Bert, I will have to say something about Bert. After he chose Darcy Graham that one week and put the triple bonus that one week, I'm like, yeah, he's won.
You won it.
Yeah.
And then last week, Jordan, you have to buy Charlie Deeds a beer. Larry, you were 2 points
2
behind.
points.
That
No, it was rough.
This round, and then sorry, that was the last 2 rounds. Round 6, which was last week, Jordan 230. You owe me a beer.
You first place from last
I was,
weekend?
but not my main team, but my other team, Castaways 13, is also me because I made the league. So you owe me a beer, Jordan. And then but overall, what we got? All rounds, total points. So leaderboard going into Bert isn't winning by 26 points. It's pretty close to the top with you 3.
Yeah.
Even Ben is not that far away, and then it's like a real drop off for the rest of us. I'm competing with myself. And then Eli and Steve and Jordan are competing at the bottom. But it's you, Bert, and Charlie are going for it.
I bet you Deed's team has a lot of Irish on it, so he's going to have to reorganize.
He's been very consistent at changing his team with he selected Will Jordan as captain as so we got double points when he scored all his tries. He selected Bundy Aki, I think, as a triple captain when he got his hat trick. So he's been very clever.
Yeah. I kept on forgetting about the boosters too and selecting my teams.
I haven't, which makes it really depressing. I haven't forgotten to change my team or do the boosters, and I'm still not winning. So,
or it was confusing when New Zealand was in a game, and I'm like, oh, Mackenzie kicked all their conversions one game, so he's obviously going to be kicking. And then I see Richie. I see Richie line up to. I'm like, what's going on here? This wasn't part of the script.
Yeah,
definitely.
Anyway, so that's a fantasy.
And in fact, there's a perfect opportunity for them to buy your beers, as November 11th, we're going to be hosting our tour of Columbus Irish pubs and or just general pubs and rating Guinness pints throughout the city with little scorecards as a team event and replacing the golf outing. So this is a perfect opportunity for Jordan to buy you and Deeds a beer each, and whoever owes that other beer.
I think Bert owes 900 beers to everybody because he's owed someone from week 1 and hasn't bought anyone anything since then.
And if you think Guinness tastes like the devil's armpit, like me, we'll also be doing something.
Larry will also be there, not drinking it.
I will be doing something different.
You don't like
It'll be the
Guinness?
DD.
No, I've tried. I've had too many Irish car bombs, and
but that's awful.
yeah, but it just every time I taste Guinness now, I just taste that. So I'm like, it's like PTSD.
I'm gonna get one out of my fridge and make you drink it now.
I want to have one.
Well, the rugby's gonna literally we've got 11 minutes till the next game, and then we can have one. Cool. Are we wrapping things up?
That'll be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am your friend, even though you weren't that. I like you more than him, though.
Yeah. Motherland's taking it.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.